We are back with none other than when a sudden destruction came into my life. Of course, by none other than the Lonely Nixie. Oh, chapter 4 now, the one who wished for the world to be destroyed. None other than when a sudden destruction came into my life. Alright, audio's all fine and dandy. What? Here. Do you think that the god of destruction exists? Oh, the god of destruction, the deity responsible for the death and destruction of mortals. Oh, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. Why'd you ask me such a question? Nothing, I'm just curious since it's becoming a trend these days on the internet. They say you can summon the god of destruction through some kind of ritual. Oh, I think I remember now. Satan was talking about it this morning. She said she and Senami tried the ritual during the Devil's Hour earlier. They're disappointed that nobody showed up. Really? Are they crazy? I guess they were curious if the urban legend was true. Satan's husband cheated on her, so I guess she wanted to get rid of him and his mistress. Come on, urban legend is just an urban legend. Satan must be desperate if she must have lost her mind. I guess so, but isn't there a creepy rumor that the suspect in the mass shooting that happened in Pepper Village 3 years ago made a deal with the... Psst! Quiet, you! She's here! Oh, come on, let's go home. I still have dinner to cook. Technically, actually, chapter 3, the one who wished for the world to be destroyed. Bulma went to the shopping district to buy her birthday cake for her exciting celebration tonight. While she was curiously choosing among the variety of cakes being displayed through the glass window of a cake shop, she overheard two women talking about the incident in the Pepper Village, and she turned her head towards their direction. When the two women recognized her, they immediately hushed their voices and quickly left. 3 years had passed since that horrifying incident, but people still could not mind their own business. She didn't know why the rumors have resurfaced again these past few days. 2 years after the video of Psyche Regan terrifyingly taking his own life, first went viral and was forgotten. Bulma bitterly scoffed as she rolled her eyes, just as she was able to recover from that horrific event she went through. She entered the cake shop and bought herself a medium-sized strawberry shortcake. She loved strawberries, so she was excited to eat them tonight. After that, she proceeded to buy some bottles of beer from a convenience store. While walking out the shopping district, she saw a familiar figure in one of the shops. She turned and looked closely to find that it was a jewelry shop. The familiar figure she saw was her boyfriend, Yamcha, looking at the display of pieces of jewelry curiously. Bulma smiled to herself, pleased upon knowing that he could be buying something as a birthday present for her tonight. How sweet of him to do this for her. In her heart, she got excited, but a little disappointed as well when she realized that it won't be a surprise any longer. She watched at his back, wondering what kind of design he was looking at. Is it a necklace, a pair of earrings, or maybe a proposal ring? Bulma blushed, suddenly feeling nervous. Is he finally going to propose to her tonight? While she was busy imagining his long-awaited proposal to her, she saw a lady walk up to him seductively. She had long, curly, golden-colored hair and was wearing a rather revealing outfit that showed off her beautiful curves and creamy white legs. Bulma's jaw dropped when she leaned against Yamcha and he wrapped one of his arms around her slim waist. Bulma suddenly felt unable to breathe. As her world blurred, with shaking hands, she took her smartphone out to give Yamcha a call. She saw him pick up his phone from his pocket and shook his head before putting his phone against his ear. Hello? She heard his voice on the other line. Bulma tried to hide somewhere he wouldn't see and said, Hello, darling. I just wanted to remind you about our meetup tonight. Yeah, of course. I won't forget about it, Yamcha said in a bored, kind of annoyed tone, and then he suddenly paused. Bulma turned her head over her right shoulder to peek at the jewelry shop to see him nod to the lady who just tried on a ring on her finger. She could barely make out the lady's words on the other line. I like this one, babe. It looks perfect. Yamcha laughed nervously as he returned to his phone. Sorry, I'm a little busy right now. My coach is calling out in the training field. I'll see you later, okay? Okay, I love you, babe. That was the only cold response she got before he hung up his phone on her. Bulma felt devastated. Her boyfriend didn't even greet her with a happy birthday or even say an I love you too, babe, back. He was so cold to her and never called her by name. He even dared to lie to her about him being in his training. The nerve of this jerk. Bulma was seething furiously as she walked up to the entrance of the jewelry shop to greet them at the exit. The lady's arms were around Yamcha's muscular right arm as they left the shop with a small paper bag containing the ring he bought her. Yamcha was shocked to see her standing there, a look of pure rage upon her face. The lady on his arm raised an eyebrow at her, and she looked up to him and asked, Darling, this is Bulma Briefs, right? Yeah, Yamcha stuttered nervously, feeling uncomfortable at the presence of these two intimidating women, knowing that there will be an upcoming war and drama he will helplessly get involved in. The lady looked back at Bulma, confused. What is she doing in here? She asked, stepping back a little. Why does she look so angry? She's scaring me. Isn't it obvious, you bitch? Bulma snarled through her gritted teeth. The lady's jaw dropped as she stared at her in disbelief. What? Me, a bitch? Bulma stepped up to her and slapped her across the face. Take your filthy hand off him right now, or that's not the only thing I will do to you, she yelled. The blonde-haired lady glared at her as she rubbed the part of her face where Bulma just slapped her. That hurts. Just who do you think you are? She yelled at her. Bulma screamed, I am the girlfriend of that man you are flirting with. The blonde-haired lady was even more shocked. What? She turned her head to Yamcha and pulled her arm off him. What is the meaning of this? Yamcha, she demanded, were you two timing at me? Were you two timing at me? Bulma's eyebrows furrowed. What? Appears that the lady was unaware that Yamcha still has a girlfriend, but everybody knows that the famous baseball star and the former heiress of the Capsule Corporation were a couple since they were still in college. So Bulma thought it's impossible that the woman didn't know the fact, considering she recognized her and called her by her name. The woman walked up to Bulma and said, He told me that you already broke up with him. Bulma gasped in shock and disbelief. What? I was not aware of any breakups or anything. That is the question I want you two to answer, because I'm looking like the evil third party in here, the woman whined. Bulma turned to glare at Yamcha, who was feeling uncomfortable at the situation he was in. Explain this, you jerk! Yamcha stepped back in fear of the two women in rage. Shona, Bulma, please, calm down. People are staring. Let them stare. You put this humiliation upon yourself, jerk, Bulma yelled. Yeah, don't you tell us to calm down after this stunt you did. Now I know the reason why you didn't want me to publish an article about your breakup with her. This is the reason. The lady whose name was Shona, whom Bulma finally recognized to be Shona Farid. A name famous for being a sports journalist in an international newspaper. Shona hurled the jewelry box on Yamcha's face, causing him to stagger backward in pain. Shona let out an angry breath and faced Bulma. Tears were falling on her angry green eyes. She took Bulma's hand and pulled her towards a restaurant where they can talk about this problem in private. Look, I'm so sorry about this, Miss Briefs. I truly am. As you just heard, your boyfriend cheated on you with me. I'm completely unaware of his lies, though. I suspected why he wasn't there to see me whenever I needed him. He would always say he was busy with his training, or that he is out of town. After realizing this now, I feel shameful for my actions, Shona sniffed. but she held into her lower belly. Bulma felt even more hurt when she realized that Shauna was pregnant with Yamcha's child. Shauna finally cried. Tears flowed out of her sorrowful eyes as her heart broke to pieces. How could I break up with him now? I wanted to break up with him, but this child... I'm feeling bad for this child because he will grow up without his father. That jerk. I want to kill him for this. Bulma felt bad for her now. She was played upon and made a fool by that playboy jerk, Yamcha, making her think that he already broke up with Bulma and got pregnant too. It's not her fault. She only fell in love with a man she thought was single and loyal. Bulma couldn't blame Shauna entirely because she knew how that felt. They didn't suspect anything because they trusted Yamcha too much for his own good while he was lying to them, making them fools. It is completely unforgivable. It hurts, and it's breaking Bulma's already fragile heart. Yamcha was the only one person she thought she could depend on ever since the incident, her comfort through her older trauma and nightmares she had experienced. She thought he was loyal to her for nearly 10 years. She thought he was going to be the one. On this day, her birthday, was going to be the day she would break up with him. All of those 10 years of being romantically together wasted just like that. Bulma felt bad for the baby inside Shauna's womb, and even the woman herself. She was also a victim of this. Yamcha lied to them both. I will break up with him, Bulma said coldly. It's up to you if you would also do it or not. I don't care anymore. But know this, I don't blame you. Shauna raised her teary eyes to her with a look of surprise. Don't worry, this is not your fault. I should have known that he was telling people that we already broke up. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Miss Briggs, Shauna sniffed. Bulma sighed. I will take my leave now. Stay safe. Bulma took her cake and the plastic bag full of bottles of beer and with her. Alright, clear my throat there. Bulma took her cake and the plastic bag full of bottles of beer with her, and she trudged her way to the bus stop. She sighed when she realized that it's already night time. As she waited for a bus to arrive, her mind was filled with several depressing thoughts about how her once princess-like life turned around, and how she was continuously losing all precious things she had with her. She wondered if she was the most unlucky person in the entire world. She heard her mobile smartphone ring in her pocket, and she took it out to see that Yamcha was calling her. She blankly stared at the screen for a moment before she decided not to answer. Sliding her finger towards the red phone icon with an angry snort. As the bus finally arrived at the bus stop where she waited, she stepped inside and realized there were no other passengers besides her. She walked towards the end of the bus and sat at the back, staring blankly at the window. As she absent-mindedly watched buildings and trees blurred past the window, she found several cold-looking dry trees. They were like the trees during the fall season. In the middle of it all, standing still on the sidewalk, was a familiar-looking man. That dark, flame-shaped hair, his icy, narrowed and slanted onyx eyes staring blankly right in front of him. His perfectly crafted nose and angular jawline, those hot, kissable lips curving down into an upside-down V. His strange garments, that weird monkey-like tail, and that god-like muscular physique. Her round cerulean eyes widened in recognition, and the world seemingly slowed down for her as she took in his stone-cold face. It's him! And he was the same as she remembered him. Her big round blue eyes followed him as the bus went past him, while her mind wondered what he was doing there all alone. And then suddenly she heard something crash on the other side of the road, and followed by an explosion. The bus she was riding in skidded to an abrupt stop, causing her to almost fall face first in the back of the seat in front of her. There were several loud screeching sounds of vehicles around her, and then more crashes. Followed by an explosion. The bus she was riding in skidded. Oh my God! The bus driver gasped in horror. She turned her head around and saw the devastating results of a pile-up across the road. Outside, people were screaming and panicking by the sheer amount of the vehicles involved and the resulting damage it caused. Bulma could tell that many people died in this collision. The bus driver turned to her and said in a breathless tone, "I'm sorry, miss, but I cannot go any more further than this. Let me return your money." He handed her money back and gestured towards the bus exit. Bulma sighed and she got off the bus, feeling so unlucky on her birthday. What a day, she grumbled bitterly to herself as she watched the chaos going around her. The burning cars, the destroyed vehicles, and fallen bodies. The sight of dead bodies triggered something within Bulma, and she quickly turned away from it, flinching and shutting her eyes. In her mind flashed the haunting memories of the victims of the mass shooting she was in 3 years ago as they fell to the cursed ground to their deaths. And then the memory of the man with flame-shaped hair standing still amidst the chaos flashed on her mind. Bulma snapped her eyes open wide, gasping and panting with loud, shallow breaths. That man! Who the hell is he? She quickly turned towards the direction where she saw him standing still earlier. He wasn't there. She tried looking around for him amidst the panic and chaos she tried to ignore, and didn't see any signs of him anywhere. Where did he go? He shouldn't have gone that far, right? After a while searching for the man with the odd flame-shaped hair, she decided that maybe she was only imagining things. So she decided to just go home with a look of disappointment. When she arrived at her apartment, she found Yamcha patiently waiting for her there, with a variety of food on the table. As if nothing happened between them earlier, Yamcha smiled at her and greeted her. Happy birthday, darling, as he spread his arms wide open to invite her to a loving embrace. But the sight of Yamcha being like that only made Bulma even more furious. While she did her best to control herself earlier, this time she went ballistic at him. She pushed him away, screaming at him to go away, to leave her alone, to get out of her house. Yamcha tried to de-escalate the heated situation and explained, but she won't hear any of it. You already lied to me, Bulma roared in fury, tears flowing uncontrollably from her aggrieved eyes. She angrily thumped her fist against his chest. How could you honestly think that I would believe your damn excuses, Yamcha? Get out of my house, you jerk, and never come back again. Don't you ever show your face to me ever again. We're over, she yelled as she pushed him away from her, causing Yamcha to fall backward and into his butt on the floor. When Yamcha felt hopeless, he finally retorted back on her. He indignantly rose from his embarrassing position on the floor and started acting tough and mighty. Really, Bulma, we're over? After all these years I tolerated all the shame and humiliation you gave me, and the way I helped you rise and recover from that miserable situation you were in, you have the guts to break up with me? He asked her in disbelief. Bulma's eyes furrowed in both rage and confusion. What? Yamcha hissed at her, tilting his chin up haughtily, and gave her a cocky look. Oh yeah? You didn't know, do you? I helped you out to get that job you were enjoying right now. If it wasn't for me, nobody in this world would ever employ someone like you, who was greatly involved in the scandals your father did while he was still alive. I pity you, Bulma. I pity you. Especially now that you have finally and officially broken up with me. Here I thought I was the luckiest man to have you as my girlfriend, You, whom I think is the most perfect woman in the world, with all that wealth, beauty, and intelligence. Now look at yourself. You have become a nobody but a lowly woman who's got nothing with her. Bulma slapped Yamcha so hard across the face her hand hurt. Unshed furious tears once again fell from her rage-filled blue eyes. She opened her mouth and snarled, How could you do this to me? Yamcha's cold eyes gazed at her in pure contempt and disgust. Because you're a nobody who has nothing. Yamcha spat back at her icily before he gave her a sardonic smirk. But don't worry though, you can have all these things I gave you as your birthday present from me. But don't you ever come running back to me when you lose everything again. With that, Yamcha stormed out of the apartment. Bulma shakily fell to her knees on the floor, completely devastated and hurt. She howled at her heartache and bawled out loud. How could he do this to her? Why her? Out of all people, why her? A woman who loved and cherished him back. When he had nothing. And now that he had more than her, he would leave her broken and hopeless like this? What an arrogant bastard! Bulma had lost her mood to celebrate her birthday. She was so furious she wanted to just shout, cry, be violent, and roar her rage out. After a while of throwing random things on the floor and flipping the table filled with the food Yamcha gave her across the dining room, Bulma went to the rooftop to drink the contents of the alcohol she bought earlier. These were the only things she wanted to take as of now, while she cried her broken heart out and her fury to the deity if he indeed existed, wondering and questioning him as to why she didn't just die along with her parents, or even during the pile-up earlier. Why is she still even alive? For what purpose? Does Kami, or whoever deity was responsible for her life, find it entertaining to watch her become this miserable? Why won't she just die already? Hours passed by, and she was finally feeling her world blur. She accidentally knocked one of the empty bottles off the table, and it crashed to pieces on the floor. Staring down at the pieces of glass, she suddenly had the idea to use it to do what the demon on her mind was telling her to do. She just wanted to end this damn miserable life of hers. As if her mind was in a trance as it shut down completely, she picked up one of the broken pieces of the bottle, the one that looked the deadliest to her. She immediately flinched in pain when it cut her finger, and the sharp pain woke her up from that thought. She stared at the bleeding cut and shook her head to take those foolish thoughts away, asking herself with gritted teeth, what the hell am I thinking anyway? I am Bulma Briefs. I know I will rise from this. They're all going to pay. He's going to pay. This world will know the wrath of the woman whose name is Bulma Briefs. Bulma looked up into the dark skies to see several falling stars. They looked beautiful. She could have enjoyed the view if she was in any mood to do so. In her desperation, she screamed her wish, her mind filled with desire to set this world on fire due to her feelings. I wish for this world to be destroyed. Be destroyed, you stupid piece of rock. Destroy all life on this world and make them feel my pain and my rage. I hate you all. I hate this stupid, fucked up world. Be destroyed. Be destroyed. After a while screaming, she felt a little better. She began to laugh like a mad woman at herself until she finally gave into her drunkenness and slumped forward towards her dreamland. Oh, how she wished she would never wake up again, though. A few moments later, Bulma was awakened from her stupor when she felt a foreboding presence near her, and she opened her eyes to see the shadowy shape of a man silently observing her. The man seemed familiar to her. recognizing him as the one she was searching for during the parlor earlier. Was she dreaming or imagining things again? Bulma closed her eyes to go back to sleep, but that creepy feeling when you were being watched during the devil's hour was terrifying her. So she opened her eyes again and saw him standing on the same spot, unmoving like a statue. She blinked her eyes in confusion, wondering if this is reality or if she was seeing a ghost. After realizing that she was indeed awake, she jumped off her chair and stepped back in horror. Who are you? Bulma breathlessly demanded the mysterious and fearsome figure before her. I am the one you summoned. Her big blue eyes stared wildly in confusion at his menacing presence as he responded to her question with a cold, detached tone. She will never forget that spine-chilling voice in her head. He was the same petite-sized but muscular man with black hair that stood up in a flaming eye and eyes as dark as the starless and moonless night that glared right through her soul, piercing her pounding heart and filling it with dread and fear of his mere presence. Up in the sky behind him, falling stars continued to descend as he spoke once again with the same icy tone. My name is Vegeta Yonsei, the god of destruction you called for, and I am here to grant your wish to destroy this world, Bulma briefs. Chapter 5. The one the god of destruction chose to decide the fate of the world. You summoned me. You are the god of destruction. You do exist? I wouldn't be in here if I don't. But you had doubts, didn't you? You never thought that I would show up right in front of you. I had no plans to do so, since your initial request was only meant to test my existence. However, I'm making an exception because I know you have your reason for you to summon me. Yes? My name is Vegeta Yonsei, and I am here to fulfill your wish to destroy your husband and his mistress. But of course, as you have heard, there will be a price for you to pay. When you enter a contract with me, I shall bestow my divine punishment to the ones you wish for me to destroy. In this process, the people you wish for destruction will cease to exist in this world. That means they will disappear forever, body and soul. They will never pass over, be sent to the afterlife, or will be given the chance to go to heaven, hell, or even be revived or be reincarnated. They will also be forgotten by mortals, as if they have never existed in this world. Before creation comes destruction. This is how the balance of this universe works. But if one's existence is destroyed when it's not yet its due time, because of a request made to the god of destruction, this creates a discrepancy in that balance. In order to keep the normality, the cause must suffer the same fate as the other. It basically means that once it is time for you to die, I will destroy your soul just as I did to the one you wished for me to destroy. I can see that despite your friend telling you that the price you pay if I respond to your request is going to be your soul, you still try to test me. Whatever, you can decide whether you go through this or not. But once you have made your decision, just focus your mind on the destruction of those you wish for me to destroy and call me by my name. Chapter 4. The one the god of destruction chose to decide the fate of the world. A day earlier, Sanemi received a call from her best friend Saturn, asking her to come over to her house because she was having some personal problems. Are you free tonight, Saturn? Asked in her typical timid tone. I would like you to come over tonight if it's okay with you. I have a problem I wish to talk to you about. Okay, but what is it? Sanemi asked, looking over her shoulder to see her lover dressing up quietly. I'll tell you later. Alright then, I'll come over. Wait for me, okay? Yeah. Sanemi hung up after that, and she let out a long sigh as she put her phone down. She was sitting on her messy bed, covered with the sheet she and her lover ruined during their lovemaking a few minutes earlier. Is that Saturn? Asked her lover. Yeah, she wanted me to come over to her house tonight. Oh, okay, I guess you should go then. I'll stay here just in case. Aren't you going home? Nah, I don't want to go home to that stinking place anymore. I love being here with you. Okay, I'll take a quick shower before I leave. She might smell I did something nasty with you. Let her be. She's just jealous you are having sex with me. Sanemi rolled her eyes. You idiot. After taking a quick shower, Sanemi left her house to come over to her best friend's house. On her way, she found a good restaurant and wondered if Saturn had already eaten anything for dinner. Considering her depressive state, she might not be in the mood to eat anything, so she decided to buy 2 sets of beef goida. She didn't have to knock on the door because Saturn had given her the codes for the lock of her front door, so she simply slipped into the house. She and Saturn were best friends since they were in high school, and they have always been together along with Keiji. Their friendship lasted for so long, Sanemi didn't care to count at all. Saturn, I'm already here, Sanemi called. Nobody answered. Saturn! She found Saturn sitting silently on a chair in her dining room. The woman with long black hair tied in a messy ponytail was staring blankly at the patterns of the wood material of the table. Oh, there you are. Have you eaten your dinner already? Because I brought you something in here. It's your favorite beef goida, Sanemi loudly and cheerfully exclaimed. Nothing seemed to go through Saturn, so Sanemi sat down on the chair right in front of her, putting the beef gouda down on the table. Saturn, what is the matter? When is your husband coming home? She asked in concern. He's not coming home anymore, Saturn sluggishly responded in a low, timid voice. Sanemi was surprised. Really? Why? Matsumoto-kan wanted to divorce me. But didn't you just got married over a week ago? Saturn nodded weakly. Sanemi gazed at her friend with a look of sympathy, feeling bad for her. But why so sudden? Asked Sanemi. The concern had not left her on her voice. He said that he was going to go to the person he truly loves. The person he said he already loved before he met me. He apologized to me, though, because he thought he could love me more than her. It was a shock. Yeah, it should be. Saturn raised her blank and teary brown eyes at her, asking in a low tone, Hey, Sanemi-chan, do you happen to know who this woman is? Sanemi blinked her eyes due to her confusion. I'm not sure. Why are you asking me? Because you know Matsumoto-kan better than I am. It's bothering me. He didn't tell you who it was? No. He only said that it was a person he met and loved before he met me. Oh, I couldn't get my mind off it. I kept on wondering what kind of woman she is for Matsumoto-kan to love more than I am. I guess I know. I wanted to kill her so badly with this, and then I will kill Matsumoto-kan and then myself. Saturn raised her hand to show her a knife. Sanemi paled at what her best friend was trying to do. I imagine I will stab her neck and with this and then twist it around a little. After she was killed by my hands, I would kill Matsumoto-kan and then myself. We will die together. Calm yourself, Saturn. I know you don't want to do this. I thought how I don't want them both to live a happy life after I killed myself, so I decided to bring them with me to hell. Sanemi was starting to panic. You shouldn't be hasty. Put the knife down, Saturn. Do you know who Matsumoto-kan's mistress is? Asked Saturn. For Sanemi, it sounded like a frightening threat. I don't think so, Sanemi replied in a stuttering, nervous tone. Finally, Saturn lowered her eyes. I see, so you didn't know either. Yeah. Saturn finally put her knife down on the table. Sanemi let out a sigh of relief. She took the knife and placed it back on the counter. Saturn, you should just forget about him and move on. You are a kind-hearted woman. You must not shackle your heart towards such a jerk. You deserve someone else who's better than him. Sanemi suggested, taking the beef gyudon she bought out of the plastic bag and opened the lid to offer it to Saturn. You should eat. You must have the strength to get over it. You must live and show them how strong you are. Saturn raised her head. Forcing a smile, she nodded. I guess you're right. Thank you, Sanemi-chan. After their dinner, Sanemi threw their trash out and proceeded to Saturn's room, where they would sleep together on Saturn's bed. To distract her friend from her depressive thoughts, she invited her to watch some comedy movies on the streaming site through the Android TV. They watched for hours, with only Sanemi laughing boisterously at the comedic scenes. While searching for a new movie she would play next, she stumbled upon a horror movie about urban legends. That's when Sanemi got the idea for a topic. Hey, have you heard of the urban legend about the ritual where you can summon the god of destruction during the devil's hour? Sanemi asked. Saturn seemed to get a little interested. Oh, is there such an urban legend? Yeah, I read it on the internet. It was one of those chili pastas going around. Sounds interesting, so what's this legend about? Goes like this. They say that you can summon the god of destruction through a prayer, and once he hears yours, you can make a wish to destroy someone you hate the most. He will come and destroy that someone from their existence. Whoa, that's creepy. You can only do this through a ritual during the devil's hour. The instructions are quite simple. Just sacrifice a drop of your blood and think of the destruction of the one you hate as you pray. Then, if the god of destruction accepts your prayers, he will come and appear before you for confirmation. Saturn's earlier expressionless face turned into a sadistic one. That's all. Maybe I should try and do this ritual and tell the god of destruction to destroy my husband and his mistress from existence. Sanemi shrugged, wondering if her friend had finally lost her mind. Well, okay. Go ahead at your own risk, but you must know that the legend says that the god of destruction will ask for a price for his services. I thought it was for free. Of course not. Who do you think you are requesting to? He's a freaking god of destruction, for crying out loud. It's only obvious they will ask us mortals for a price. Then what is it? Money, food, praises? I don't know. It wasn't specified in detail, but they say it's your soul. It's like selling your soul to the devil. Whoa, isn't that too much? Ha 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 ha. Look at you, come on. Don't take it seriously. It's just an urban legend after all. Although there is a rumor that the suspect in the massacre that occurred in the Pepper village 3 years ago had entered a contract with the god of destruction because of the notes the suspect left on his room moments prior to the crime. Do you mean that massacre where the president of the once world famous Capsule Corporation was murdered along with an entire village? Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. I'm amazed you still remember. Of course, it was world-breaking news back then. Those who didn't know about it must be living under a rock or were too young to remember it. Yes, this is good. Saturn's finally getting a little talkative now, and that's good. Sanemi was worried about her earlier, and it was relieving for her to hear Saturn talk again. Sanemi continued through her story. So anyway, there's this video going around on the dark web showing her how frightened Psyche, the suspect, was when he put the muzzle of his sniper rifle inside his mouth. He looked like he didn't want to do it. It's like someone else is controlling his actions. Plus, his head exploded as if the gun he was holding was a shotgun instead of a sniper rifle. Saturn was getting more interested. Really? Where can I find that video? She asked curiously. Sanemi took out her smartphone. I'll send you the link. Check it out yourself at your own risk. You must know that it's terrifying to watch. Okay. Sanemi sent the link to Saturn, directing her to the viral video she was talking about. Saturn watched the video without even flinching. Whoa, I can't believe this, Saturn gasped. So, what do you think? Do you think that the god of destruction truly exists? Is the urban legend true after all? Saturn put her phone down and wondered for a moment. I don't know. There's only one way to confirm. What time is it? Sanemi checked on the digital clock's glowing numbers on the bedside table. It's 5 minutes to 3. Saturn finally smiled, a cruel one. So, should we try summoning him? I told you I wanted to get my husband and his stupid mistress out of my hair. Saturn laughed. You must be joking. Saturn frowned. Then you shouldn't have told me that story in the first place. Plus, you're also curious if he does exist, aren't you? Saturn shrugged her shoulders in discomfort. Well, yeah, but what? Are you scared? And here I thought you love exploring scary things. I do, but I do not wish to sell my soul for trivial things such as that, Saturn defended. Saturn finally laughed. Haha, you're just a coward. Don't worry, we will not make a contract with him if he indeed appears right before our eyes. Does that make you feel better? Saturn rolled her eyes, giving him, although it was hesitation and doubt. Giving him, fine, whatever. Let's just do this once, okay? Great! Saturn returned to the kitchen to get a knife and used it to create a small but stinking cut on her left index finger. As her crimson blood trickled down her finger, she closed her eyes and began to pray to the god of destruction. Sanemi silently watched at her friend with an odd look. Dear Lord of Destruction, I am asking for your help. Please help me rid of my husband and his mistress. She prayed out loud. Her blood dropped to the floor and she repeated the same prayer. Dear Lord of Destruction, I am asking for your help. Please help me rid of my husband and his mistress. She repeated her prayer almost 5 times, and when she opened her eyes, nothing interesting happened and nobody showed up at all. Nobody appeared. Did I do the ritual right? Saturn asked. Yeah, Sanemi responded. Saturn looked down in disappointment. I guess he's not real after all. I told you it's just an urban legend. What were you thinking, Saturn? Sanemi scolded. She stood up to get the first aid kit Saturn was keeping, and she carefully pressed the sterile alcohol swab over the wound and placed a band-aid over it after cleaning it. Saturn didn't flinch at all. Saturn sighed. Alright, that would be enough for today. Let's go to sleep, okay? Saturn forced a smile as she nodded weakly. Good morning, Saturn. Oh, Sanemi, you're here, the neighbor greeted. Good morning, Sanemi replied. Haha, why do you two look like you didn't sleep at all? Have you been watching Netflix the entire night? Yeah, we stayed up until around 3. Saturn wanted to do something. You know that ritual where you summon a god of destruction? The neighbor laughed. Really? Oh, Saturn, I can't believe you still believe those kind of things. Well, Saturn drawled, lowering her eyes even more. Sanemi defended her. It doesn't hurt to try. There's nothing to lose since it's just an urban legend after all. You're right, but the neighbor shrugged. Let her be. It's not like the god of destruction would appear. It might help Saturn feel a little better. A good outlet for her to take out her anger on her husband and her mistress. The neighbor shook her head with a disapproving look. Oh, come on, Saturn. We understand how you are feeling right now, but what if it was indeed true? Is it worth your soul and life to risk them just to have a deal with the devil and destroy Matsumoto-san and his mistress? Saturn simply lowered her eyes, feeling aggravated in her heart. They do not understand a thing at all. She had given all her love to Matsumoto, and her life fully revolved around loving him. But how could he cheat on her? How could he suddenly ask for a divorce out of nowhere after being just married for over a week? Is something wrong with her? Just who was this despicable other woman of his? If Matsumoto-kan wouldn't be mine, then nobody could ever have him, Saturn uttered. Without him, my life and my soul wouldn't matter anyway. Come on, Saturn, he's not the only man in this world. You deserve someone better. Saturn suddenly went ballistic as she screamed. No, you just don't understand. Matsumoto-kan is mine. Saturn, Sanemi scolded, grasping her by her shoulders. Frustrated, Saturn pulled herself off her Sanemi's grasp, slapped her friend's hands, and ran back inside her house, slamming the door behind her. Sanemi simply watched at her in concern and let out an exhausted sigh before she turned to the neighbors to apologize. Sorry about that. Please do understand that she's going through some tough times. The neighbor rolled her eyes and grumbled angrily. Whatever. I think she's just being insanely obsessed with Kaiji. Ah. Anyways, we'll go ahead now. There's a lot of work to do. Yeah. Saturn shut the door behind her, ran into the darkest corner of her room, and cried alone. Those fools. How could they judge her this way? What do they even know about what true love is? She heard Sanemi knocking on her door, calling out her name, but she ignored her. She's just like them, all of them, idiot fools who don't understand the meaning of loving someone with everything you have. She hates them all. Suddenly, she felt a presence near her, and she raised her head to see a man with odd flame-shaped hair, standing silently before her, gazing down at her with eyes as dark and Venta black. He was engulfed by the shadows of darkness of her room. You summoned me, he said in a cold, detached tone. Saturn's jaw dropped in complete astonishment as she let out a gasp. The god of destruction had finally appeared before her. When Vegeta returned to Whis' side, up above the Earth's atmosphere, his guide angel chuckled. I know that you are in a bad mood today, my lord, so I brought you more of your favorite Maguru Nigiri. Whis proudly showed him the 50 bamboo boxes of Maguru Nigiri he just bought. Vegeta turned his cold eyes to him, thinking about something. Whis, he called. Whis looked at him curiously. Can we just catch some Maguru from here and bring it home to breed, and then plant an entire Japanese rice field back home? Whis laughed. Oh, we can breed Maguru if you like, but I highly doubt that a rice field would survive the conditions of our home, especially considering that all trees and plants automatically die once they sense your divine presence. Vegeta gritted his teeth. I shall threaten Shin to use his power to drive rice fields at home. Whis laughed again, even more amused. But you are more powerful than the Kaioshin, my lord. That's why you are the destroyer of all of his creations. If he uses his power to allow rice fields to grow at your home, you will still destroy it with your godly destructive power. Vegeta grumbled incoherently. Why? Why, what's the matter? Whis asked in concern. These earthlings are getting on my nerves. If only not for the Maguru Nigiri, I would have already destroyed them. So it seems that your favorite food is the only reason why planet Earth is still intact. Tuh. Give the earthlings a chance, my lord. I'm sure that there will be a single soul among the humans who might interest you. I don't know. I have no interest in such weaklings. Oh, come on, just give them a chance. Vegeta gave Whis a suspicious glare. Just what are you on about? He asked. Oh, nothing, just a thought, because I myself have found a rather interesting earthling, and I'm pretty sure that you already met her once. Oh, you mean that blue-haired woman who bumped into me 3 years ago? Yes, impressive that you guessed who I was talking about. She is the only earthling I've met who isn't contracted to me yet, so you have finally found her. She happens to be working on the place where I buy your Maguru Nigiri. Vegeta appeared to think for a moment. Whis meeting her after 3 years and the possibility of himself meeting this former briefs once again was no coincidence. 3 years ago, he knew that the woman was the one he saw in his prophetic dreams. The single human who would have a connection with him, a chosen one who would help him with the decisions of the fate of the human race and the planet Earth. Although Vegeta already had a glimpse of what she would offer him, it was still a mystery to him how a single human woman will have such a bond with him. He wasn't interested in anything about her at all, but he was somehow curious about some things he was having trouble understanding. An example of this are the reasons for Atla and Saturn's desire to destroy for the sake of those they love. While Atla destroyed Moe to save his beloved Lemuria, Saturn wished to destroy both the mistress, her husband, and herself due to her distress. Vegeta couldn't understand the concept behind this dangerous love, as Whis called it, and why they risked the existence of their souls for it. He knew she could help him understand the reason behind that, which was why he chose her to decide the fate of this world that day. Alright then, I will give this world a last chance. If I find that woman annoying, then I will destroy the earth. Are you really sure about this request? You're really sure about this request? That was what the god Destruction asked her when she told him her request. She told him that she wanted for him to destroy both her husband and his mistress, and after that, herself. The god of Destruction seemed upset about something. Perhaps he could tell her indecision so easily. Then you know what to do. Take your time. That's what he said before he disappeared to thin air. Saturn finally opened her door when she realized that Sanemi had gone home after quite some time of knocking at her door. Feeling bad for what she did and for worrying about her best friend, she decided to go to Sanemi's home and apologize. But what she saw that night was something she didn't expect. She watched in horror as shadows danced erotically through the blinds of Sanemi's window. At first she thought it was simply bad time for her to visit, but when she heard Sanemi scream a familiar name in her pleasure, that's when Saturn turned her head back in disbelief. Keiji, oh my gosh, I'm coming, Keiji. As if submerged in icy water, Saturn trudged towards the window to take a peek at the small opening, and what she saw happening in there had completely devastated her, as if her heart had been torn off her chest. No, Matsumoto-kan, Sanemi-chan, she whimpered, tears finally falling from her crestfallen eyes as she helplessly watched her husband and her best friend reach the peak of their intense lovemaking, and they screamed in utmost pleasure as they finally orgasmed together. Saturn staggered back and fell to her knees, feeling betrayed and broken-hearted, especially after realizing that her husband's mistress was her only best friend, whom she trusted for years. There was nothing more painful in the world than these feelings. How she wanted to destroy them both. No, she can't do that. Vegeta Yonsei will destroy them both for her. So, you have finally made your decision. A familiar cold voice suddenly said behind her. Saturn turned to see the god of Destruction standing right next to her. Yes. Vegeta turned his head to the window and finally let out an evil smirk. Very well then, I shall destroy them both for you, and then wait for me to do come for you. Hey, Kaiji, I'm getting hungry. I haven't cooked any dinner yet, Sanemi said. Why don't we go out and eat at a nice restaurant? Let me reward you for the pleasure you gave me tonight, Kaiji Matsumoto said. Okay. They took a shower together, dressed up in casuals, and went to Kaiji's air car. As Kaiji drove towards the West City shopping district, Sanemi was looking out the window. When the car drove past a bus with a single blue-haired woman passenger, whom she seemingly recognized, she told Kaiji, Hey, I think I saw Bulma Briefs on that bus, Sanemi said. Bulma Briefs, the former heiress to Capsule Corporation, Kaiji asked. Yes, her. Oh, she's riding a bus now. Good for her. I kind of felt bad for her. It's not her fault that her father stole Psyche's patents for the hoi poi capsules, yet she was the one who suffered the public's criticisms. I wonder how she's doing now. I heard her sister's still in a coma in the hospital. I think she's doing well considering she's riding that bus. I don't know. She looked kind of melancholic. The look in her eyes reminds me of Saturn. Kaiji grunted as he rolled her eyes. Forget about Saturn, she'll get over it. You know, sometimes I feel guilty for what we're doing to her. Saturn is a good woman. Sanemi, enough of Saturn already. I was only forced to marry her because I felt pity for her. She was an obsessed woman, too clingy for my tastes. It's becoming too annoying for me to handle. So much for being timid. She was awkward to have sex with. After that one time we had on our honeymoon, I didn't want to repeat it with her. She isn't even good at giving me the pleasure that I badly need. Sanemi sighed, wondering if she must tell him the truth about her feelings. As she turned to watch at the window as they passed by a highway, she noticed an odd phenomenon going on with the trees. For being in summer, those trees were dying, as if it's already autumn. The dry leaves were falling to the ground. What's going on with those trees? Sanemi wondered. She wrapped her arms around herself, her mind getting visions of those creepy, haunted forests in the horror flick. They're dying. It's creeping me out. She saw a man with spiky hair that looked like a flickering black flame against the soft wind standing still on the sidewalk. At the center of those dying trees, as their eyes met, Sanemi felt something inside of her chest pulse so powerfully, and it suddenly made her breathing difficult. The man's eyes glowed a purplish red light against the darkness as he let out a devilish smirk. Abruptly, a deep, cold voice spoke right through her mind. You have incurred the wrath of the god Destruction, and now you shall receive divine punishment for your unforgivable sins. You have been judged, and therefore you shall be destroyed. Before creation comes destruction. To keep the balance of this universe, one must be destroyed for the creation of another to happen. Now receive the consequences of your wrongdoings. Sanemi gasped in horror. That man, he's the god of destruction, so he really does exist? As Sanemi finally realized who that man is, the car screeched as it abruptly went full speed. Kaiji, what are you doing? Kaiji, Kaiji! Sanemi screamed, but Kaiji seemed to have lost his mind as if he fell into a dark trance, and now he was trying to kill them both. Sanemi tried to pull his hands away from the steering wheel or kick his leg off the accelerator, but nothing seemed to faze Kaiji at all. Sanemi's eyes went wide when she saw what would happen to her, and she screamed in horror as their car hit a fuel tanker truck, and together it burst into flames that burned the entire car and everything in it. Sanemi's vision went black after that. Vegeta's eyes followed the cursed vehicle until it crashed into a tanker truck and exploded. However, when he felt a familiar presence near him, his sights were pulled towards a blue-haired woman riding a bus. Their eyes met as the world around them seemingly slowed down, and Vegeta could see recognition upon her cerulean orbs. Suddenly, flashes of visions came across Vegeta's mind, just as what happened to him while he watched the destruction of planet Alia. The way that woman stared at him with her huge, bright blue eyes full of longing, of emotion, of something he couldn't understand. She was reaching out her hands to him, at his face. She was touching him as she told him, I am mortal, that's why I will show you. I will make you understand how it feels to be loved. And he heard her calling his name repeatedly, with as many emotions only a mortal human like her could show. Vegeta's eyes narrowed, flinching, pushing all of those unwanted visions away. He hated it. It's distracting him from his work, and he raised his eyes to glare at the woman. Just who the hell is she? Her eyes slowly looked away when another explosion happened due to the occurring power caused by the accident just now, and the bus screeched to a stop, almost causing her face to hit the back of the seat in front of her. The bus driver apologized to the woman for not being able to go anymore further than this and gave her money back. The woman went down the bus with a disappointed and tired expression. Looking over at the accident, suddenly she went dizzy, and she trudged towards a nearby wall to take a breath. Vegeta decided to ignore her, and he teleported towards the parlor. In total, this accident cost not just 2, but nearly 20 souls for him to take. Time had stopped around him, freezing everything in place. As he called out the souls of those who perished, he allowed those who weren't involved in his contract with Saturn to pass over, leaving the souls of Kaiji, Matsumoto, and Sanemi Katsuro with him. Vegeta's dark eyes glowed reddish purple as he stared into those cursed souls, reaching his hand out to them, his palm open and facing them as they were quickly enveloped by a purple light. Destruction! Vegeta uttered in a somehow commanding voice. He squeezed the air as he closed his hand into a tight fist. The two souls slowly vanished from their existence as they turned into black dust, until there were no traces of them left in this world. Vegeta turned to face the direction of the blue-haired woman. The connection with her was getting stronger, and he felt that it would only be a matter of time before she called out to him and wished for him to destroy this world for her. He disappeared when she finally regained her bearings and started looking for him. Vegeta proceeded to where the empty Saturn was waiting, who by now doesn't recognize him any longer, after the deal had been fulfilled. Even so, he had to follow through with their deal and destroy her as soon as he destroyed both Sanemi and Kaiji. I already destroyed them for you just as you wished. Now it is time for me to take yours. That's what he said before he raised his palm towards her, engulfed her body with his destructive power. Destruction! As Saturn simply watched at him while she slowly turned into black dust, Vegeta saw a smile of relief on her lips and her soft eyes giving him a silent thank you. Seriously though, Vegeta cannot understand the reason behind Saturn's decision to follow Kaiji and Sanemi immediately. She told him that she cannot live without Kaiji in her life. Why though? She can live, breathe, and move on with life. If he destroyed Kaiji, she can continue living her life without the memories of ever meeting Kaiji and Sanemi at all. Why does she need to risk her life and her existence because of her love for that kind of man? Vegeta gritted his teeth in annoyance, thinking how these lowly mortals are hard to understand and deal with. He turned his head to the sky, wanting to follow his chosen human, hoping that she could help him answer these questions one day. Vegeta sat down on the edge of a building, looking down at the rooftop of a nearby apartment, where he followed the blue-haired woman. He scowled deeply as he began to question just what's so great about these humans. They're just nothing but weak, sentimental, and insignificant beings. The universe didn't need this kind of mortals to survive. He wondered why the woman caught Whis' interest. When he first met her 3 years ago, after she accidentally bumped into him, Vegeta knew that something was odd about her. Just who the hell is this woman? Why does she keep on appearing in his mind? What do those flashes of visions mean? Were those visions of the future, his future, their future? Is it possible that the woman is connected to him through some kind of bond? A bond, huh? A god of destruction like himself shouldn't have any attachment to anyone or anything. That is why he was raised to become as cold, ruthless, and hard-hearted as he is now. Because in his world, everywhere he goes, everything will disappear and he will be destroyed from existence. That was his only purpose now, to kill and to destroy. He was born destined to cause death and destruction in the universe, nothing else. For some reason, Vegeta missed how his life was back when he was a mortal Saiyan prince. At least back then, even if he was killing his enemies and destroying planets, he had a goal in life. A goal to become the strongest warrior in the universe. And now that he is indeed the most powerful being in the cosmos, he realized that in the end, his pursuance for the greatest strength led to this cursed existence. He remembered how his predecessor, the former god of destruction, Beerus, also felt some kind of bond with him after they first met back when Vegeta was still a mortal Saiyan child. Beerus told him that despite being a god of destruction, there will be a single mortal with whom they will feel such attachment and would make their empty immortal life quite interesting. That's what happened exactly between Beerus and Vegeta. When Beerus took Vegeta as his protege, his life was never the same again. Vegeta remembered Beerus' last words to him before he proceeded to destroy him, when he took the mantle of becoming the god of destruction from him. I pray that you may find someone to fill up that emptiness one day, just as you did to me. Thank you, Vegeta, and may you become the first god of destruction to bring a change to the mantle. Good luck, my boy. If it is true that there is indeed a bond between himself and that mortal human woman, then he had to find a way to sever it. Vegeta had no plans to be attached to anyone at all. He didn't want to lose anything ever again, just as how he would always lose everything he once had before. He watched in silence down below at the rooftop of that specific apartment as the blue-haired woman drank herself with several bottles of alcohol. He could hear her thoughts as she questioned the existence of a deity and why she and her sister were left to live such a horrible life full of suffering in this hell. She wondered if the deity was enjoying himself, seeing her suffer this way. Beats me, Vegeta whispered to himself. Even I couldn't understand why I spared you back then. All I know is that I could still use you for something I need. He needed a good reason to destroy Earth and the human race. He couldn't destroy this world because of his favorite food. He believed that if a human wished for it, he would have a reasonable excuse to tell Whis about Earth's destruction. He thought that perhaps the cruel fate she was suffering would lead him back to her when she finally prayed to him for world destruction. He had been waiting for 3 years for that single desperate prayer from her. Still, he heard nothing from her. Vegeta sighed impatiently. It should be time for her to call out to him. He could sense just how frustrated and desperate she was in her life. She thought about how cruel the deity was to her. Vegeta smirked. Fine, I shall grant you what you wish. The woman toppled one of her alcohol bottles, breaking it to pieces on the floor. She stared at the broken pieces with a blank look, and Vegeta was able to infiltrate her mind, filling it with thoughts of death. Caught in his trance, she picked up one of the broken bottle pieces, the sharpest among the shots, and then, what the? Vegeta blinked in surprise and confusion. Something within the woman resisted his mind control, and she was able to break away from his evil and deadly temptation. She started berating herself about what she was planning to do, unaware that it was Vegeta's doing all along. What the hell am I thinking anyway? I am Bulma Briefs. I know I will rise from this. They're all going to pay. He's going to pay. This world will know the wrath of the woman whose name is Bulma Briefs. Just what the hell is this woman? How did she resist his godly powers? He's the freaking god of destruction, the most powerful and most feared deity in the entire universe. And she's only a mere weakling human. How's this possible? Vegeta never felt so ticked. In his aggravation, he started to subconsciously summon a meteor shower up into the skies. The woman suddenly looked up into the falling stars he was letting out across the night sky. Then she suddenly screamed her wish out loud, the prayer he had been waiting for the past 3 years, and he saw through her mind how she wanted to see this world on fire due to her desperate and hateful feelings. Wishing about it on those falling stars. I wish for this world to be destroyed. Be destroyed, you stupid piece of rock. Destroy all life in this world and make them feel my pain and my rage. I hate you all. I hate this stupid, fucked up world. Be destroyed. Be destroyed. Vegeta's surprised expression suddenly shifted into one of pure wickedness as he let out a blood-curdling smile that normally meant destruction is about to come. As Bulma finally slumped her head down due to her drunkenness, Vegeta jumped off the building he was sitting at to land gracefully on the rooftop where Bulma was. As he straightened himself, the lights on the rooftop flickered for a moment before it was gone, a reaction to his divine presence. In the darkness, Vegeta walked towards the loudly snoring human woman and squatted right in front of her. He looked at her curiously, now that he's finally getting a much closer look at her face. She does look odd, especially with her hair color. Strange for even a human. Even her mind is unique. I mean, who in their right mind wishes for their home world to be destroyed? Not even I was that serious when I said the same thing many years ago. come to think about it, didn't she suffer the same circumstances as I did back then? He recalled that Bulma Briefs used to be heiress of the planet's biggest technological company, making her family the richest in the world. In other words, she used to be like a princess. Due to the death of her father and the sins he did when he was alive, she suffered a life where she must survive alone. Vegeta was finally beginning to understand where her desire to destroy the world was coming from. She would rather destroy the world rather than kill herself. Her pride and desire to live to prove her self-worth were the reasons why she was able to resist his powers earlier. Interesting. Just as he thought how the humans were hopeless, miserable, weakling creatures he should destroy along this stupid muntball of a planet, this woman came along. He was beginning to make sense of the visions he had about them both. Just as how he was chosen back when he was a mortal, he would choose this woman to be his reason. One who would help him decide the fate of the human race and the earth. Will they be spared from the god of destruction's wrath? Or will she change the fate he was planning to bestow upon this world? Finally, he found someone to stave off his boredom. Vegeta straightened himself and paced away. He raised a hand and snapped his fingers. The lights turned on. The woman groaned as she finally regained her bearings, feeling his chilling presence. "Rise and shine, Earthwoman," he told her. When she opened her eyes, she looked like a person who wasn't sure if she was awake or not. She closed her eyes again in an attempt to go back to sleep. Vegeta snorted. How could this woman think he's just a ghostly apparition? Finally, she flashed her eyes open, demanding him breathlessly. Who are you? I am the one you summoned. Vegeta stared into her wide, confused blue eyes as he introduced himself. My name is Vegeta Yonsei, the god of destruction you called for, and I am here to grant your wish to destroy this world, Bulma Briefs. Story version of Netflix in real life, of course. Maguro, bluefin tuna used for making tuna nigiri sushi. Alright, chapter 6. I am destruction itself. Alright, one final chapter. Then we'll call it for today. I am the one you summoned. My name is Vegeta Yonsei, the god of destruction you called for. And I am here to grant your wish to destroy this world, Bulma Briefs. Bulma stared at him in silence with a funny look on her face. Her jaw dropped to the ground. She tried to make sense of what this man was talking about. She tilted her head slightly as she uttered a single, "Huh?" with a questioning look at him. In her mind, she began to wonder if he was joking or not. And as if he read her thoughts, Vegeta let out a loud snort. Of course I'm not. Do I look like I am someone who would make a joke, And he must be insane. Someone who has a few loose screws over his head. Vegeta's frown deepened when he heard her thoughts. Bulma's eyebrows furrowed, eyeing the garments he was wearing with a criticizing gaze. Oh, I remember you now. You're that crazy handsome guy with a vain attitude 3 years ago, she grumbled with a groggy tone. So, Mr. Vegetables, it's Vegeta. I don't care, they sound the same, and that's fine with me, Bulma abruptly yelled at him furiously. Grah! An angry vein popped out of Vegeta's wide forehead as he scowled deeply at the woman, his eyes and jaw twitching in his annoyance. The disrespect of this woman to his great name is unforgivable. You say you are the god of destruction, huh? Ha 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 ha! Bulma laughed groggily. That's a cool username, but I think it's pretty common. Even my ex-boyfriend was called the god of destruction on the baseball field. How about you? Maybe you call yourself that because you are a player to women? You look like you are the type of man who would play with women. A god of destruction for women's hearts, I could say. Vegeta rolled his eyes off her. He guessed it was terrible timing for him to appear right in front of her. She's too drunk to even be aware of what she was saying to him. He glared at her, his irises flashing an ominous magenta glow around his dilated black pupils. Go to sleep, woman, he commanded. Bulma's eyes rolled backwards and her head slumped forward. Vegeta felt embarrassed at himself. Why are Earthling women such an enigma? He shook his head and decided to pick her up in his muscular arms. Using ki sensing, he traced her key back to her apartment suite, used his powers over electromagnetism to open the electronic digital door lock, and threw her on the sofa. Bulma was too drunk to care, but she moaned and groaned at her impact. Vegeta let out an annoyed groan and he glared at the woman disgustingly. Was choosing her a mistake? Was he wrong about responding to her prayer? Whis! He called. His guide angel appeared out of thin air right behind him. Yes, my lord. Vegeta turned his head over his shoulders, frowning at him. Is this the kind of woman that impresses you? He asked, pointing at the drunken woman. Whis laughed. Well, certainly not that part of her, but I understand that she had been through a lot, especially on her birthday. Why? Whis tapped his scepter to the floor to show Vegeta what happened to Bulma. Her boyfriend cheated on her and he also broke up with her after he had said such terrible things to her. Of course, anyone with a heart torn asunder like hers would act as she did. Tuh! Their stupid emotions make me sick to my stomach, Vegeta growled. He gave Yamcha's image in the hologram a fierce glare. So, should I destroy this human? Of course, that's if she would wish for you to do so. Vegeta grunted impatiently, returning his annoyed gaze to the unconscious and loudly snoring woman laying on the sofa. Then a mischievous smirk stretched across his lips. I'll make her wish for it then. Chapter 5. I am destruction itself. Bulma groaned as she awakened from her stupor, feeling a terrible headache and realizing that she was back home. My head hurts. How the hell did I get back home? She groaned as she rubbed at her forehead, grimacing. She rolled backward and pulled herself off the sofa, her body feeling quite heavy. Maybe I should get some water. Rugly rose and almost jumped back when she heard a cold, deep voice of a man right behind her. So, you're finally awake. Bulma let out a loud, surprised gasp as she fell back to the sofa, staring at the flaming-haired man standing on the wall opposite to hers with her wide blue eyes. Who are you? She automatically demanded at him breathlessly. Her first instinct was to think that he was a burglar. What are you doing here? You don't remember, the flaming-haired man said with an amused look in his eyes. Bulma yelled. What do you mean I don't remember? What did I do last night? You were the one who summoned me, Vegeta responded. Summoned? What do you mean by summoned? Vegeta rolled his eyes off her. Right, she was too drunk. She doesn't remember a thing or two about what happened last night. Suddenly his eyes turned even colder, effortlessly using her telepathic powers to remind her what she did. Bulma's eyes went blank as her mind became filled with visions about her shouting at the falling stars and wishing for the world to be destroyed. Bulma gasped, snapping out of her trance by shaking her head and blinking her eyes. Huh? What is that? Vegeta sneered once again. She had broken free from his powers without even realizing it. That's how you summoned me, Vegeta explained. Bulma's eyes widened in panic and confusion. She still doesn't understand what he meant by summoning and what she did. Bulma raised her hands at him, waving them in front of him, as if he was arresting her. No, forget what I said. It was a mistake, she defended. Vegeta looked displeased. What? I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing. Please, forget what you saw and heard, okay? Now, if you please, you may leave now, she told him as she pointed out the exit and an awkward smile. Vegeta rolled his eyes once again. Ah! He snorted out loud. Then he gave her a cold but furious dark glare. How dare you waste my time, woman? You should know that making fun of a god of destruction is punishable by destruction itself. Bulma's eyebrows furrowed. What? God of destruction? You're a god of destruction? She eyed him from head to toe with a criticizing gaze. My gosh, and here I thought he was a handsome guy when I first saw him. Aside from his vain attitude, he's also a lunatic. You don't believe me, Vegeta stated coldly. Bulma awkwardly smiled. Not really. Suddenly, the lights went off. Bulma looked up at her fluorescent light in the ceiling. Oh, it's a blackout. Suddenly, it became dark outside, causing Bulma's room to darken as well. Is it going to rain? She muttered as she peeked at her sliding glass window by the balcony. Up in the sky, black thunderclouds whirled on the horizon. Suddenly, a bolt of yellow lightning flashed right before her eyes, making her scream and jump back into the house. Oh my gosh, that's scary, she gasped, her hand going up to her chest. That is an example of what I could do, Vegeta told her. Bulma turned around to look at him with disbelieving look. You're doing this? Yeah, I can also do this. His eyes suddenly glowed jade green as his body became engulfed by golden light. His hair flickered for a short moment from the wind his aura was emitting until it glowed gold as well. Bulma was mesmerized by his transformation. Are you an electric type? She asked breathlessly. He was the only source of light through the darkness of the surroundings he was creating. Vegeta growled, I'm no Pikachu! Suddenly, the apartment started shaking with a strong earthquake. Outside, lightning flashed randomly as if they were ringing bells to hail the god destruction's power. Bulma began to panic. Okay, I believe you now. Please stop this. Once Vegeta returned to his normal form with a satisfied smirk, the earthquake and the thunderstorm stopped. Sunlight pierced through the dissipating dark clouds, making it bright again. The fluorescent lights turned on. Bulma sat back to a sofa, gaping at the man who was obviously not human at all. You said that I summoned you, the god of destruction. Yeah, you wished for the world to be destroyed, and I heard it. But I wasn't talking to you at all. I didn't even make a prayer or some sort of ritual to summon you. Bulma's breath was caught in her throat when Vegeta, who was standing across the room several meters away from her, suddenly appeared right in front of her in the blink of an eye, closing the gap in between them in moments. His cold, narrowed, and slanted black eyes gazed intently at hers with a chilling, dark look that made something within her jolt. Then who exactly were you talking to? I am destruction itself. I am the deity responsible for death and devastation. I could easily take a life or destroy an entire world whenever I want, he told her. If you can do it whenever you want, then why not do it on your own? She shot back with a glare. I needed a good reason for me to destroy the earth. And it just happened that a mortal like yourself wished for the things I exactly wanted. Ah, did I mention that I can fulfill a mortal's wish so long as it is under my powers of destruction? I see, Bulma nodded at first, but she quickly went back to defend herself. But seriously though, why me of all people? You said that I summoned you, but it was just an accident. It wasn't intentional. I was drunk when I said that. Can't you just find another person to bug with? Vegeta finally pulled away from her, his crooked eyebrows furrowing more. So, are you sure about withdrawing your request? He asked with a somewhat threatening tone. Bulma nodded in determination. Yes. Vegeta raised his chin at her, frowning. I could tell that you were still upset with regards to that man. If you do not wish for me to destroy this world, then I could destroy him for you. Just tell me anything you want to be destroyed, and I shall come to fulfill it when you wish for me to do so. Just call me by my name and focus your thoughts on the destruction of whatever things you wanted to be destroyed. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, Once I am done with it, you have to pay me a price. I will let this accident slide just this once, because I am making an exception for you after confirming your desire to destroy through your thoughts. But do not ever test your luck or my patience with you, woman. I am an evil, ruthless god. Mortals greatly feared me and my wrath. So the next time you summon me, you better think carefully or else I will destroy you. Do you understand? Bulma swallowed hard, her face paling at the scary looking look in his eyes. His face had twisted into a blood-curdling, demonic-looking mass. It effectively made Bulma feel a chill across her spine, making her shiver in fear. She forced her head to nod. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Vegeta rolled his eyes, turned around, and walked a few steps towards her balcony. As he held the sliding door to the terrace, he turned his head over his right shoulder to give her a smirk, which made Bulma's heart flutter. By the way, the cake's good. It's also another reason why I spared your life today. I'll see you again soon, Bulma. As Vegeta stepped into Bulma's balcony, she quickly followed him, confused as to how he knows her name. Wait, Bulma called. Vegeta turned to her curiously. What's your name? Oh, did I fail to mention? I think I did, but you were too drunk to remember. He let out an evil grin. My name is Vegeta Yonsei. Don't you dare forget it, Bulma, because I will make sure that you will be calling me soon. He waved her a friendly goodbye before he jumped off the rails. Bulma let out a gasp out of shock, and she ran into the balcony to look down. For goodness sake, this is the 15th floor. Panicking at witnessing someone jump off her balcony, Bulma ran out of her apartment to the elevator and out of the building. She looked around for quite some time, and upon noticing that everything is normal, since if he indeed jumped off the building and fell to the ground, people should be panicking over where he crashed to see his dead, broken and bleeding body. But there was no panic or any traces of him on the ground. Did he just disappear on midair? Bulma let out the breath she was holding, unable to comprehend what the hell she just witnessed. At first she thought that it was just a dream of hers, so she lightly slapped her at her face and pinched her cheeks to wake herself up. Feeling the pain, Bulma was able to confirm that she was indeed awake. Then it's not a dream at all, she asked herself. Then she noticed some people walking around looking in her direction with odd stares. Embarrassed by her improper actions, she awkwardly walked back to her apartment. That foolish woman. Of course that isn't a dream, Vegeta muttered, shaking his head. You seem disappointed, my lord, Whis noticed as Vegeta finally walked up to him. Who wouldn't be if that woman thinks I am a joke, Vegeta grumbled. She did not believe you, Whis asked amused. No, Vegeta said with an irritated look. Despite already witnessing what I could do, she still doubted who and what I am. That woman is annoying me. Maybe I should destroy the Earth now, just as I promised. Whis laughed. That's so impatient of you. Why don't you try being in a human's shoes once in a while? Of course, in her perspective, it's unrealistic and impossible to see someone with your powers and abilities, especially when you mention to her that you are a god of destruction. As far as I know, she stopped believing in the existence of a deity ever since her parents passed away 3 years ago. Yet, she questioned why I spared her life and allowed her to continue living. Maybe I should just rid the life out of her and her sister, that ungrateful mortal. Give her some time, my lord. I believe she is just trying to process everything she had witnessed. Whatever. Maybe if I showed off more of my powers, she will believe me. So, are you planning to abuse your godly powers just to bully her around? Hey, I'm not bullying her. She was the one who started doubting me. Perhaps if she started to believe that I indeed exist, she would finally wish for Earth to be destroyed, or at least she would wish for someone to be destroyed. By someone, you don't mean... Vegeta gave Whis a mischievous smirk. Yeah, that someone. Bulma sat on her sofa with a melancholic expression on her face, as she scanned through the photo album of her smartphone, looking through the pictures of her and her ex-boyfriend Yamcha smiling together. So many precious memories of their 10-year relationship, all wasted due to him being a cheater. After all the years she loved him since they were in college, her support throughout his baseball career, and after her life turned upside down, she depended on him thinking that he loved her so much. It turned out to be a lie. It seems that he was only after her money, and now that she is useless to him, he decided to get rid of her. That jerk! She growled as tears fell off her crestfallen eyes. She frowned and she angrily wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Don't cry, Bulma. Stop crying. This kind of man isn't worth your tears. Get over it, girl. You can do this, she told herself. She stared at her phone once again and decided to delete all photos related to Yamcha. That way she could forget about him completely. After that, she leaned over the backrest of her sofa, wondering what she should do now that she learned that her job at the sushi store was given to her by that jerk. She wanted to resign, but the question is, where is she going to go? It was difficult for her to finally land that job, and it would be hard for her to find a replacement given her reputation. Seriously, that jerk! How dare he do this to me? I'm going to kill him, she shouted in her irritation, throwing her phone over the sofa. Should I kill him for you? A familiar voice suddenly spoke right behind her, causing her to jump in horror. How did you get in here? Bulma demanded Vegeta, who was leaning on the wall with his arm across his chiseled chest. She didn't notice him enter the door on the balcony or the window. Teleportation, Vegeta responded nonchalantly. She looked at him oddly before she let out a breath. How could he say that he would kill someone for her with a calm smile, as if he was only offering her a drink? She sat down on the sofa and gazed up at him with obvious discomfort. Were you listening to me? Uh-huh. You were being loud. It's annoying me, Vegeta responded. She looked at him more oddly now. How is he hearing her? As if to answer her question, Vegeta told her, Since you summoned for me, I can clearly hear your thoughts, even though you are far away from me. Even so, you shouldn't listen to other people's thoughts and appear out of thin air just like that. I didn't even call for you. It's trespassing, Bulma yelled at him. I don't listen to mortals' thoughts just because I want to. I hear them automatically, especially thoughts related to a mortal's desire for death and destruction. Also, how can I be trespassing if the fate of everything in this world is mine to decide? I mean, everything that exists is my property, since I decide which one should stay or which one should be destroyed. Honestly, why do you keep on bugging me about that? If you want to kill or destroy something, then so be it. Do what you want. Why are you waiting for my permission? Bulma asked this with an annoyed look at him. Vegeta grunted. Before he replied with his typical irritated tone, I wanted to destroy the Earth, but my guide angel was pleading for me to show this world my mercy. He said that Earth is the only planet in the universe where I could get my Guru Nigiri. He also said that a human girl caught his interest for some reason. This is the reason why I chose you to help me decide the fate of this world. Wait, the human girl your guide angel was talking about was me? Bulma asked with a puzzled expression. Yeah, I believe you already met him several times in the sushi restaurant where you work. Bulma pictured the image of their strange, regular white-haired, blue-skinned, violet-eyed customer, the one who always buys the same food almost every day from them. As if Vegeta could see what's on her mind, he nodded. Yes, that's him. You're the master he's talking about? Bulma gasped as she looked at him from head to toe. No wonder why his butler, guide angel or whatever said that he was indeed troublesome and stubborn. I thought he said that he was a butler or something close to that. Vegeta rolled his eyes at her. That's vague, woman. As I said, Whis is my guide angel. Aside from that, he is also my attendant, chef, reporter, doctor, martial arts master. There's a lot of things. Oh, I guess you're surprised. You didn't expect me to look this fit because you thought I eat too much. I know I'm handsome, hot, sexy, and my metabolism is quite high. I was a Saiyan who turned into a deity after all, so I can look however I want. A what? The smirk on Vegeta's lips suddenly faded. Saiyan, I was once a Saiyan a long time ago, he replied with a colder tone now. Does that mean you were once a mortal? That's right. Then how? I mean, why did you become a god of destruction? The Kaishin was silent for a few seconds. Bulma thought that he had become more intimidating as his facial expression hardened into something that seemed to hold back such hate and bitterness. She wondered what that was about. Vegeta snorted silently and spat bitterly. It's none of your business. Oh, Bulma muttered, disappointed. He turned to her, his expression now neutral controlled. So, back to the original question. Should I destroy that man instead? If you don't want me to destroy this world, then perhaps you want me to destroy that man for you. Bulma lowered her shoulders as if wanting to give up on her life groaning. Why are you being like this? She complained. So we can finally put an end to this contract, Vegeta answered. He was growing impatient. He just wanted her to allow him to destroy this world already, and then he'll come for her next. Bulma was stunned. What? Contract? What contract are you talking about now? I don't remember ever entering a contract with you yet. The God of Destruction bitterly scoffed at her. Exactly. I don't remember entering a contract with you either. But fate creates its contracts, something which we cannot agree or disagree, no matter how much we are against it. Some mortals call it a bond, the force that unites and binds two souls together. A bond? A bond? You mean like soulmates? You are my soulmate? Vegeta sneered in disgust at that comparison. But yeah, in human terms, it's something similar to that. We were bounded together by fate, and here I am trying to get rid of it. I am a god of destruction, and I must have no attachments to anyone or anything. I do not feel the same way as mortals like yourself normally do. I have no time to waste forming a bond with pathetic low lives which I should be destroying. For some reason, Bulma felt kind of hurt upon being rejected like that by her so-called soulmate. Whether his crazy claims were true or not, was she really not good enough for him, or even Yamcha at all? If you don't want me, then why did you choose me in the first place? Bulma asked him, trying to hide the hurt in her voice. As I said, Whis finds you interesting for some reason. Me choosing you to decide the fate of this world has nothing to do with this bond. I simply wanted a reason to destroy this damn world, and I chose you to make that decision for me. Don't you get it? You now hold the fate of your entire world. Of course, there's a hefty price for you to pay, which is your destruction by my hand. You see, before creation comes destruction. This is how the balance of this universe works. But if an existence is destroyed when it's not yet its due time, due to a request made to the God of Destruction, this creates a discrepancy in that balance. In order to keep the normality, the cause must suffer the same fate as the other. It means that once I destroy this world, or that ex-boyfriend of yours, you will suffer the same way as they are. Once I destroyed your existence, you will disappear forever, body and soul. You will never pass over, be sent to the afterlife, or will be given a chance to go to heaven, hell, or even be revived or be reincarnated. You will also be forgotten by mortals, as if you had never existed in this world. If that happens, then the unwanted bond I had with you will be rid forever. Bulma couldn't believe it. He's even more terrible than Yamcha ever was. He chose her just to forcibly make her decide to destroy the world so he could get rid of her existence once and for all, just because he didn't like this bond between them? Such an evil bastard. Vegeta smirked back at her. His cold black eyes had wicked glint within them. I told you I am an evil, ruthless god. No hard feelings though. I'm just doing my duty as the god of destruction of this universe. Whether it is about good or evil means nothing to me. Suddenly, Bulma snapped back at him. Are you an idiot? You're truly insane, Bulma suddenly screamed at him, causing Vegeta to flinch an inch backwards with a shocked look. Do you think I am that gullible to fall in your trap? No way. Who would rid of their existence because of things such as that? I'm too young to die. you know. Plus, even if my life is miserable now, I know that there is still hope for me. Sorry, but I'd rather keep my existence than allow someone evil like you to win. Vegeta was utterly stunned by Bulma's sudden burst of temper. That's not how she thinks last night. What is with this woman? Does she have a mood disorder or something? How could she be so peculiar? Suddenly, Vegeta heard some kind of indecision from her, and then an indomitable resolve. This made Vegeta feel annoyed with her. "Ta! Whatever, woman. I can give you the time to recollect yourself from the shock. Go ahead and think about my offer well. I'm sure that you wouldn't want to be bonded to a monster such as myself, as much as I despised being in this situation. I gave you the chance to choose your fate and a way to get out of this. The decision is up to you," he told her icily, as though he had suddenly lost interest in her. He turned away from her and disappeared in the air like a ghost. What the hell is wrong with that damn woman? What the hell's wrong with that damn woman? Vegeta snarled in irritation as he jumped to sit on the sand of his world, pouting angrily and childishly crossing his arms over his chiseled chest. "So, I guess your plan failed again," Whis asked him. Vegeta growled. "Damn it! I think I've chosen the wrong human to decide the fate of that mudball for me. She made me want to destroy Earth even more." "Then why don't you?" Vegeta frowned, sending Whis a narrowed side glance. "I see that Maguro Nigiri is still holding you back from destroying Earth," Whis chuckled lightheartedly. Vegeta tilted his head and turned to the opposite direction, giving off a loud, haughty snort. "So what are you going to do now?" "I don't know. I want to destroy the Earth, but I can't. Damn that Shin for creating Maguro and Gohan on that damn planet inhabited with useless humans." Whis let out a sigh at Vegeta's tantrums. Honestly, he wasn't in the mood to deal with his complaints about his indecisions. He kind of regrets introducing Vegeta to the Maguro Nigiri because it affected his decision making when it comes to destroying Earth. Whis murmured when he found the crystal on the top of his angelic scepter flashing green. "Oh, look at that! We got a call from Kaioshin-sama." "Speak of the devil." Vegeta gave Whis an indifferent look and silently gestured for him to take the call. Whis leaned closer to the crystal as he greeted in a cheerful voice. "Oh, hello, Kaioshin-sama. Is there anything we can help you with?" "Whis-san, thank you for answering." The image of Shin, a man with white mohawk hair, light purple skin, and long pointed ears in relief. He had a soft, kind voice in comparison to Vegeta's cold and imperious tone. "I have something to request for Vegeta-sama. It appears that we have a problem with the Southern Galaxy, and after a thorough investigation, we came up with the decision to request to you the elimination of the entire galaxy." Hearing the report and knowing that this might be the therapy he badly needed, Vegeta moved closer to Whis' side. "I'm all ears," Vegeta responded. "Report," he asked. The South Kai reported that the chameleons living within said galaxy were growing rampant. To start, they have been causing quite the trouble across the other planets, taking over other races and forcing them to undergo crazy experiments. Spice, the self-proclaimed leader and a mad scientist, is considered to be pure evil and is greatly feared for his sadistic brutality. He led his men to capture every single person with the planets they invade, chose those whom he deemed worthy for his crazy experiments, and then killed the unworthy in a gruesome way. Those who survived don't even last much longer, since the experiments were extremely torturous and brutal. Imagine cutting open a screaming pair of twins just to check if they're same thing, and then sew them together in gruesome positions so they could never be apart, literally. "Oh my, that is one brutal mortal," Whis gasped in disbelief. "We also heard of some of his interviews from the Galactic Reports, and it seems that he doesn't see anything wrong with what he's doing at all, reasoning that it's normal for a scientist like himself to do these experiments. He sees the people subjected to his brutality and as his lab rats or toys." "And a remorseless one too," Vegeta said. "I find it strange that I haven't heard any prayers from these so-called lab rats. Has anyone ever thought of wanting that damn bastard to be destroyed at all? Yeah, about that, Shin said. We found out that to prevent these people from thinking of summoning you, Spice ordered that all his subjects be put under the state of deep stupor by the usage of drugs that could prevent their ability to think but leaves their nerves alert in order to feel the tortures he would do to them. I see. How'd you come up with the decision of galactic destruction then, if the problem only lies with a single race within one planet? Even if we decide to destroy the source of this trouble, we regret that the victims cannot recover. You see, Spice had once experimented on resurrection, and he ended up causing what it seemed was a zombie apocalypse. Reanimated bodies of the dead spreading some kind of virus and causing others to become like them as well. And this is spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. Spice had somehow invented a serum that prevented him and some of his comrades from becoming mindless zombies, and they sent some of these monsters to other planets to cause havoc in their place, wanting to convert anyone in the galaxy to that same state. This could be another reason why the people haven't called upon you for help. They could be alarmed and too afraid to die themselves, Whis said to Vegeta. I haven't received the souls of those who had become zombies, and I'm sure that Enmadayo didn't either. Possible that because they were changed, their mortal souls are trapped within their infected bodies, Vegeta stated. Enmadayo is the deity of the underworld responsible for receiving the souls of the dead and sending them to the outworldly destination with his judgment. He works under both Shin and Vegeta, though mostly with Shin because they work together with the reincarnation process of a soul. What do you plan on doing now, my lord? Whis asked Vegeta. Vegeta rose from the sand with a look of excitement. Let's go and check it out, Whis. The place reminded him greatly of the old days back when Vegeta was an invader of planets under the rulership of the Galactic Army. The place was retching with the scent of blood. The walls seemed to vibrate with the sounds of tortured screams made by the unfortunate victims of this tragedy. And now that the deity responsible for death and destruction himself had arrived, will these mortals finally find the comfort and justice they're seeking? Spice was seen by most people to be the ruthless and evil one for causing his victims to die a slow and agonizing death, which Vegeta never actually gained. Remembering Bulma's thoughts that night about how she finds gods to be cruel for simply allowing mortals to suffer and probably watching their misery for his entertainment, Vegeta let out a snicker. Life wasn't always about enjoying good things or being comfortable all the time. Everyone must suffer the cruelty of life itself as well. Sometimes deities allow this to happen for the sake of mortals, to teach them the meaning of strength, endurance, hardships, and pain for them to enjoy the truly good things in life. But in some cases like this, where mortals have zero chance to appreciate this kind of lesson due to the hopelessness of their situation, the deities have to step in and give them the comfort they needed as a show of mercy. Vegeta listened to the voices embedded on the walls and saw the memories of the past within these hallways, of agony and rooms of torture. He saw how the bastard Spice ripped one young girl's eye off their sockets, causing her to cry out in agony. He dropped some liquid dye on another child's eye to see if this will cause the child's eye to change the same color as the dye he used, but it only caused the eye to burn and melt. He also experimented on sewing random body parts together, of resurrecting a dead body with another drug, only to create a zombie. That's when all the problems of the South Kai began. Vegeta concentrated his powers to create several astral clones of himself made from his spiritual energy and sent them to check on other planets for him. By utilizing the spirit control technique, he saw whatever things the clones discover in their arrival. He pulled his spiritual energy back once they're done with their purpose. Then he teleported back to Whis outside the atmosphere of the planet Shomirio and shook his head in disgust. Tell Shin to prepare himself for the creation of a new galaxy, he ordered his guide angel. I have decided to destroy this hopeless one. A galaxy filled with worlds and wicked mortals like this should not exist in this universe. I understand, my lord, Whis responded. He took his scepter out to tell Shin about the final judgment of the Hakaishin. Shin understood and made his preparations. I'm ready, Vegeta-sama, Shin informed once he was done with his preparations. Vegeta nodded as he reached out to the golden earring attached to his left ear and removed it. Off with his limiter, he unleashed an intense godly aura of destruction, causing a dense, dark purple smoke-like energy to engulf him. His dark irises slowly changed color to mauvish crimson, and his black flame-shaped hair glowed with a purple light. All the things that the Kaioshin created have their core. For mortals, their core lies within the mortal soul. In order to destroy the existence of mortals, Vegeta uses his presence as the deity responsible for death and devastation to connect and call out to the soul of the mortal being and destroy it with his powers of destruction, just as how he did with Moe, Sanemi, Kenji, and Saturn's existences. For planets, Vegeta creates a spear of destruction, lets it fall into the planet and allows it to penetrate through the crust until it reached the core of the planet, causing it to explode almost instantly. His destruction of planet Alia is one example of this. There were times whenever he feels like it, he would use his aura or energy to manipulate the core of the planet itself and cause catastrophic events like massive earthquakes or devastating hurricanes that may eventually lead to the planet's destruction if he allows it to happen. This is what he did to Earth when he tried to show off his power to Bulma. And he will do the same, but a more powerful process for the destruction of the Southern Galaxy, and along everything that exists within it. Vegeta allowed his mind to be taken by his desire to destroy, and he began to exclaim his judgment and divine punishment declaration. The Southern Galaxy shall feel the wrath of the God of destruction. He has been judged, and therefore the existence of all that is within this galaxy shall be destroyed. Vegeta said this as he released his powers as the God of destruction. He felt the cause of every single thing that is within this galaxy, from stars to planets to all living things that existed within it, jolted and pulsed as it sensed the divine presence of the destroyer God. He caused the planets to shake and the stars to shrink as if in fear, knowing they're about to be destroyed by the most powerful and fearsome deity in the universe. Before creation comes destruction. In order to keep the balance of this universe, one must be destroyed in order for the creation of another to happen. This galaxy shall receive the consequences of my wrath. He held up his right hand, palm open, facing forward. Destruction! He exclaimed, clenching his hand into a tight fist. In an instant, everything that was once the Southern Galaxy was completely erased from existence by a massive explosion, turning into heaps of energy that the Kaioshin would later use for the creation of a new galaxy to replace the one Vegeta just destroyed. Vegeta was floating in the emptiness left by his powers. Vegeta casually put on his golden earring back to his left ear, and his aura scattered until it completely disappeared. With his godly destructive powers concealed, the reddish-purple glow of his irises and purple highlights on his hair faded back to his normally black hues. Ah, that felt good, he moaned before giving off a satisfied smirk. You always feel a lot better whenever you destroy things, Whis told him. Yeah, there's no other better therapy than that. Now I'm hungry, Whis. Let's return to Earth and take me to that sushi restaurant where you buy Maguro Nigiri. Let's eat plenty today. Sure, my lord, Whis chuckled in amusement. Finally, Vegeta was back in his better mood and had completely forgotten about his desire to destroy the Earth from earlier. Bulma was walking down the street to come to work. She decided to come back and not let her fear, insecurities, and doubts control her. Yes, the job was given to her as per Yamcha's consideration, but she believes that she had proven enough to keep on going to work. She had nowhere else to go after all. She had no other choice but to suck it up, swallow her pride, and accept her only option was to keep on going. She only hoped that Yamcha didn't talk to her boss to fire her or anything. When she arrived at the restaurant, she saw that jerk ex-boyfriend of hers was indeed telling her boss to fire her. He was telling him several unnecessary lies just to force her boss to do whatever he wants. Because of this, Bulma once again went ballistic. She confronted Yamcha and demanded to know what his problem was. He told her he just wanted to make her pay for humiliating him and breaking up with him. Bulma screamed at him. "You have some nerve to do this to me when you were the one who cheated on me!" The two of them argued, while her boss and Chi-Chi tried to separate the two and calm the situation. Yamcha eventually made his run, and Bulma started to chase him out. "Oh my goodness!" Whis gasped as he and Vegeta turned to the corner to find a furious Bulma chasing Yamcha into the pedestrian lane. Vegeta snickered in disgust and snapped his fingers. This caused Yamcha to suddenly fall in a sinkhole that abruptly appeared under his feet. Bulma quickly screeched to a stop before she could fall, completely stunned and wondering what just happened. She peeked down the bottom of the sinkhole to see Yamcha curled into a shrimp position on the ground, groaning in pain due to the leg that was broken upon his impact. Then the ground began to shake underneath her feet. What the hell is happening? When she looked up, she saw an electronic billboard across her advertising some odd and spine-chilling topic about the end of the world, according to the scriptures. The deity is angry, fear his wrath, the destruction of the world has come, the big bold letters read. Bulma suddenly felt a rush of guilt as she remembered the conversation she had with Vegeta Yonsei. "You said that I summoned you to guard destruction. Yeah, you wished for the world to be destroyed, and I heard it. But I wasn't talking to you at all. I didn't even make a prayer or some sort of ritual to summon you. Then who exactly were you talking to? I am destruction itself. I am the deity responsible for death and devastation." When he had said those words to her, she felt something jolt within her body. It was as if her very soul had reacted to the intense gaze he shot back at her. His slanted, narrowed eyes were the coldest and darkest pair she had ever seen, and somehow, deep in her heart, she was intimidated by him. She could tell how fearsome and dangerous he was, and upon witnessing some of his powers, she knew that he was indeed what he claimed himself to be. Did she really summon a god of destruction into the earth to destroy the world for her because she wished for it? She heard a screeching sound coming from her right side, and she turned her head to see that a six-wheeler truck was coming right towards her. And then everything seemed to slow down for her. The shaking of the ground seemed to stop, and the surroundings blurred. In her mind, she had these inner thoughts and flashbacks. "I never feared death or destruction before. Since I grew up in a religious family, I used to believe that death is the time a person leaves the world of the living to join Kami-sama in heaven. For sure, anyone will be happy to be in heaven, but when I experienced being in the situation of possibly dying in the midst of chaos, it was when that belief was challenged and I was overcome with fear." Bulma reminisced the day of the mass shooting where her father, mother, and other people were killed. A cruel massacre only she and her older sister survived. "I don't usually fear the things I haven't seen or experienced yet, but when I did, that's when the fear becomes a reality." Bulma remembered falling to her side after being shot down by that killer. As she watched through the chaos, she saw Vegeta Yonsei in the middle of it all. "I had my own devastating experiences in life, and I do not deny that I sometimes wish to die or stop existing in this world. There was also a time when I wished for the world to be destroyed. Yes, I had these thoughts and feelings too, but what do you do with death and destruction itself are standing right in front of you, willing to fulfill your wishes?" She remembered all the devastating experiences she went through, from the death of her parents, to her sister falling into a coma, to how her princess-like life turned upside down, to the years of humiliation she'd suffered after her father was suspected of stealing the patterns of the Hoi Poi capsules, to her devastating breakup with Yamcha. She couldn't blame herself for how she screamed into the skies and wished for the world to be destroyed and be burned to the ground. Yet despite all of these, she never really wanted for the world to end. She also didn't want to die. Bulma stared at the upcoming truck that was going to hit her and surely kill her. Everything around her moved in slow motion, even herself as she turned her head towards the opposite side of the pedestrian lane. Before the crowd of flinching and gasping onlookers stood the deity responsible for death and destruction. Vegeta's dark eyes watched at her intently, as if he was waiting for her to come to the other side and take her away with him to the world of the dead. I am destruction itself. I am the deity responsible for death and devastation. Once again, his words repeated in her head. Then all of a sudden, everything completely stopped. Gohan, Japanese rice. All puns. Okay, we shall call it to a halt here and all that. Not even going to preview the following chapter. Read it for yourself. Link is in the description. Like if it pleased you. Subscribe if you dare desire for more, of course. And yes, notes to the author. I like how when it comes to destruction, you have the palm, raised outwards, and then closed in a tight fist. Reminds me of the Powerball. When the prince launches the Powerball prior to, becoming the great ape, Ozaru does that. Palm is spread out and then Bob clenches his fist, It's like burst open and mix. Alright, that was like just a side note. I like how everything ties together. You have snippets of here and there, but then they coincide, to a nice cohesive story, much like a soap opera, if you will. Yeah. Anyway, that shall be it. Most likely I shall continue this on Wednesday here down under. One day on, one day off, and so forth. Okay, well, yes, this has been your Real Life Prince. Thank you for enjoying, thank you for reading along and whatnot, and yes, sayonara!